Again to Oscar Mike Radio. We are live here on Veterans Day. It has been Saturday I was live, Sunday I was live, today I'm live, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I want to thank my guest for some Semper Gumminess because I got I'm a little behind, but he is understanding, and I appreciate that. I want to introduce my guest here on Veterans Day, and I'm so proud to have Dr. Damon Friedman, U.S. Marine. He earned the title, but retired as an Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, and now advocates through SOF Missions. Dr. Damon, welcome to Oscar Mike Radio. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really excited about the conversation that we're going to have, and most importantly, how many warriors that we can save their lives, especially during this season when a lot of them are emotional and passionate about their service. Yeah.
Well, think about the season. It's still the old trope, but it's true. I mean, from about now, after Veterans Day through the end of the year, for a lot of veterans, including myself, it's not a very joyful time of year, sir. It's really not. And I know people have their own nonprofits to combat that, but you have SOF Missions. After you served, you saw a need and you wanted to meet that need. Kind of tell me though, where did the idea to create this org and get it off the ground come from?
Yeah, it's just 20 years of service. Halfway through 2010, I kind of came to a T intersection. Came back from a combat deployment, the most extensive, combat that I'd seen at the time. I was part of the invasion in 2003 as a Marine, going through SOF 1 into Iraq. Operated as a special operations JTAC on several special forces teams, and then this third one was just a culminating point. And it was just dealing with PTSD, dealing with mild traumatic brain injury, dealing with insomnia, dealing with chronic pain, dealing with moral injury. And then those are all like some of the core issues. And then plus drinking too much, self-medicating, and just having a terrible home life. But it's because I brought the war home. And so halfway through, over 20 veterans take their lives every single day. I understand why they do it. I'm vehemently saying it's not right. Struggling with suicidal ideation since I was a kid, being born and raised in downtown Los Angeles, low income housing. I was a juvenile delinquent, single mom. It's just hard. Sometimes living is really hard. And then just fast forward and, we're in 2010 and came to a breaking point, literally, and almost became a statistic. And, we were just talking earlier on. I am a person of faith. At the end of the day, it's crazy because, when I felt like everybody abandoned me, when I was the most alone ever, I felt like God showed up, and it was a very powerful and profound moment. I remember him saying, I made you for a purpose. I have plans. They're great. They're awesome. To persevere and win, not to lose, not for evil. And I believed in that voice. And then after a couple of years, really just, holistic care, psychological, physical, social, spiritual, the whole thing. After a year and a half, I felt better. And then I got redeployed. And I remember being in Afghanistan, and I was thinking, man, I got all this care, and the majority of it was not with the Department of Defense. No, it wasn't. So it was about nonprofits, people really giving their time, money, and energy. And so I'm in the middle of Afghanistan, right in the midst of war. And I called up my wife and said, what would it look like if we did this? What would it look like if we were able to have full spectrum care, healing our warriors? What would that look like? And the birth of SOF Missions happened in 2011 in Bagram, Afghanistan.
I'll take me back a little bit to your wife. And the reason I want to highlight this is, I've dealt with personally a lot of veterans, active duty, who their wives check out. And I'm not blaming the wife. I understand from an empathetic standpoint why that might happen, but it's more often the case the spouse is like, you know what? No, I'm out. This is not what I signed up for. I want out. But your wife, half a world away, you two communicated and decided to come and do this.
Yeah.
What's it been like? I mean, she didn't serve, and the reason I'll get to the why in a second, but what was it like knowing that your wife had your six, that she was, your spotter, so to speak, and had your back?
Yeah. So I got really lucky because my wife comes from a military family.
Yeah.
So, every male was either a sergeant major, E9, Air Force, Navy, Army, everything. And even her grandmother was a Marine. So she was, so she's familiar with some of the trials and tribulations that veterans deal with, active duty. And I actually married her before I joined the Marine Corps. And so in some ways she knew what she was signing up for. So I'm going to be honest with you. She's been a Spartan the whole time. I totally 100,000,000% don't deserve her, and she's stuck by my side. She's been an incredible mother, an extraordinary wife. And, so I'm lucky because I'll tell you what, if I took any other lady through this stuff, man, I mean, I'd be divorced, I'd just being honest about that. And Dana is, my wife is a direct reflection that God does have a plan, so.
And that love is real. Well, how about that?
Yeah.
Well, so looking at this, there's several different, I would say, outreach focus areas from your program. But let's just say, for sake of argument, I'm on your website and I have the link in the chat, Dr. Friedman, and I click on the link and want to get started. What happens when I raise my hand and say, you know what, or virtually, right? But I say, you know what, I need help. This looks like this program happens. What starts happening to that person who comes to you for help?
Yeah, it's pretty. So at SOF Missions, we have the Be Resilient program.
Okay.
So we have the Be Resilient training. It's the education. The Be Resilient retreat that comes in different shapes, but it allows more veterans to come, and it's actually a gateway to our third one, which is our main deliverable, our Be Resilient clinics. They're medical clinics, 5 days long. Warriors come, and how it all starts is they just apply. My case manager responds to them. And we are not a crisis. That's not what we do. There's a couple things we don't do. Crisis is a completely different, other task. Homelessness is another, and drug addiction, heavy drug addiction. I mean, you know how it is with alcohol. I mean, it's part of the culture in the military. So, as long as you're not drinking a bottle of bourbon every night, I think, you'll be able to work through some stuff here. And there are a lot of veterans that drink a bottle of, whiskey a night. But anyway, so immediately my case manager will reach out to them. They'll do a questionnaire, A through Z. And that's the beginning of trying to figure out what kind of care do they need? Because not everybody needs to go to the clinic here. We fly them in all 50 states, predominantly in the state of Florida. Governor DeSantis has done a phenomenal job creating space for veterans to thrive on all avenues, not just medical care, but with that being said, then we figure out a date that works for them. We fly them in, all paid. We have it at a resort. Our hospital is a resort. So no excuses. And it's all on campus. Most amazing 5 days, 7 o'clock in the morning to the evening. It's like a Mayo Clinic model. We got 20 to 30 healthcare practitioners coming together, and we all talk about you, and in one day, you'll see the head physician, you'll see the strength conditioning coach, the nutritionist, the physical therapist, the chiropractor, the acupuncturist, massage therapy, spiritual mentor. I mean, unless you got a lot of money, that's never going to happen, right?
I was going to say, I mean, that is a smorgasbord of care right there.
Yeah, that's just a day too. And then after that, then we hand you this follow-on care plan, and it's for a year, and we pay for all of it for free. Yeah, one whole year.
I was going to ask you, do the 5 days. Now, what's the follow-up after you leave the resort and go back to your world? Yeah,
we whatever it is, we drop a resiliency ring around you, wherever that is. And the cool thing about the one good thing that we got out of the pandemic is that we realized that we could do a lot of different things via Zoom. So you establish a relationship with the healthcare practitioner, whether it's a psychologist, a social worker, the psychiatrist, the nurse practitioner, there are some things that are hands-on, like physical therapy. So if you need extensive physical therapy or massage therapy, very, very useful for chronic pain, then we'll find an exceptional leader in that field, a healthcare practitioner. And then we arrange the X amount of visits, blessed by our head doctor, our head physician, medical director, and we go on for a year. But most of it we could do via Zoom. Cognitive therapy to psychotherapy to strength conditioning, strength coaching. I mean, once you go through the whole thing, remember it's 5 days, right? So every day you're doing deadlifts, every day you're doing kettlebells, every day you're doing this, you're doing that, blah blah blah. And then once we put the package in, this is what it looks like. And after 5 days, you're pretty familiar with it. But it's a year and it's free.
What's it like watching a veteran? And now I want to ask because, to me, SOF means like Special Forces, Special Operation Forces. Is this for any veteran? Are there any conditions, honorable discharge, so on and so forth? Or how does that work?
Yeah. So SOF actually stands for Shield of Faith. And it comes from, one of the greatest philosophers who wrote a letter to, a place in Ephesus. And he was an amazing philosopher, a theologian for sure. And he talked about the spiritual warfare. He talked about the war in the world. There's a lot of war back in the day of Rome. And one of the weapons he discussed was a shield. It wasn't just there to defend, but to, as a form of attacking the enemy. So that's where we got it. So SOF, that's what it stands for, missions. And it is start off with just special operators, but today, all MOSs, all branches, and you don't need to have an honorable discharge. You can have a dishonorable. You have to, there are some dishonorable discharges that are very sensitive,
Yeah.
and so, but that's like, 1% that maybe we go, this is not the best. However, we still help. So maybe we don't come to the clinic, or if we invite them to the clinic, we may work things through that. Maybe there's certain things that you shouldn't share because then it would not be a safe space for you. It's like, but we're trying to help everybody. It's this war has been hard on so many of us, and many of us have sacrificed a lot. Our families, our jobs, our ambitions, our dreams, our health, things like that. So I just want to help as much as I can.
Absolutely. So I go through the program. I have my year. What happens at the end of that year after I've gone through your program? I guess what I'm saying is, do you find typically that if a veteran applies themselves to the program, executes the steps, that in a year they are in a much different mindset, body than they were when you first got a hold of them?
100%. That's why
Yeah.
we do a year. But honestly, with the way that we're doing it now, we're finding 90 days. And then we still do checkups, 30, 60, 90, 120. And then at the end of the year. And sometimes we have some setbacks. That's usually when, after 90 days, 8 out of 10 are good to go for the rest of the year. They're good. Because you have to understand, it's like food, right? Is it a diet or is it a lifestyle? And so for me, this is a lifestyle. So I've changed a lot of things. It's not like I stopped doing certain things for a short period of time. No, it's like, let's go down the list of everything that you need to do. I'm a big believer in making sure you stay connected to your mental health provider. To this day, I still once a month. I have lows. I have lows because of anniversaries and memories.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little hard to get out. I'm human. And if you were in the war 20 years like I was, well, you got a lot. You got a lot of loss. So it's important to keep yourself checked. It's also like eating, right? Like consumption. Alcohol, like I shared, is part of the culture. bottom line is, you got to limit it, because it's the number one killer. It really is. It makes everything worse. There's all sorts of alternative treatments and modalities and then the pills, get rid of them. We do functional medicine. There's just 100 million ways to do this. We have like the 10 commandments of sleep. You got to get sleep. Most of us don't sleep. So we really focus on our sleep, man. We've got like the 10 commandments of sleep. Like, these are the 10 commandments. If you follow them, there's a like 95% chance. And we equip them. It's kind of like a tinnitus machine, and supplements of magnesium and melatonin, high end, not the cheap stuff you get in the store, like super high end from Europe, wherever. You got auras or whoops, and we measure heart rate variables and deep sleep, and you get to a point where you can control your sleep. You're the one responsible. And the people who finally come to our program, they're ready. They're done being self-destructive. They're ready, and they want to be full productive members of society. I would say 9 out of 10 that come through our program become full productive members of society. And one continues to struggle or disappears or something. I mean, you know what? 9 out of 10 isn't bad. Everything is evidence-based research. But that percentage is awesome. I mean, just think about how many other programs. And we don't address symptoms. We address the actual core problem. And that's the difference between our program and everybody else's. So, yeah, really excited. It's very efficacious. It's been great.
Well, just like, again, we talked before we got on, there seemed to be a real, very clearly stated, it wasn't like diminished at all, mind, body, spirit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I say spirit, the faith-based component as well, which doctor, I'm finding out that, other practitioners, other providers are starting to embrace a faith-based focused for long-term healing. So I just thought it was very interesting.
May I say something real quick on that?
Yes, sir.
So Dr. Koenig and Dr. Van der Wiel, Duke University and Harvard University, two of the top institutions, especially of research. They did a phenomenal study. It was 150 years or whatnot, showing the efficacy of when you combine religious practices with psychological treatments and modalities, right? And you see how expeditious the healing process is with those that you combine both together, okay? And also how more resilient people are when you've had those before traumatic experience. The research shows for itself. I mean, there's a very strong correlation. And also, humans are made of mind, body, and spirit. They are, soul. And when I talk about this component, this is not about religion. It's not. I am a person of faith. I'm a Jesus follower. I am. It's really it's my personal decision. I'm very pragmatic. I studied this historically, scientifically, philosophically, and I came to a conclusion. And also, I experienced something that was very powerful, and it's radically changed and transformed my life. And so that's been like my lifeline. But then you have these other practices that you need. I need a psychologist to kind of work some things through. Everything, kind of like surfaces, and I'm trying to figure out, how can I deal with this, right? But then you have the cognitive component. Well, my psychiatrist from, the hospital helped me kind of get through with the mild traumatic brain injuries. I've had multiple. And so I was experiencing symptoms that were very detrimental to my health, and very much symptoms that are in line with dementia. It's like, if you're in the war long enough, you're around enough bursting bombs and machine guns and mortars and artillery and all that, eventually your brain kind of gets a little bit of mush. You see that, in boxing and stuff. And then you got the moral component, the moral injury, which a good friend of mine, his name is Richard Glickstein, up in DC, really lobbying for great policies to help veterans and their families, described moral injury as blunt trauma to the soul. So we grab all those three pieces, and people are always asking, well, what kills a veteran? When you grab PTSD, mild traumatic brain injury, moral injury, insomnia, the dude's not sleeping. He's got incredible amount of chronic pain, chronic stress, drinking himself to sleep or self-medicating with whatever, and then not exercising. You grab all those 8 things, and guess what? Perfect formula to die. Okay? It's just, so that's what we do. We address those major issues.
Well, then I have one question for you, doctor. In addition to the 8, I talked to a VA, professional in the Boston system, and they are really starting to get their language together and literature about isolation. And I wanted you to see if you had an opinion about isolation, because it's their belief that you have all those things which they identified in their own way that you just articulated, but isolation really is the one that pushes the person to that final conclusion. I didn't know if you had any opinion about that one way or the other.
Well, I think it's really a condition. Okay,
Okay.
so what it is this is a decision that we make, right? So we isolate ourselves, and when we isolate ourselves, all we have is PTSD, mild traumatic brain injury, insomnia, moral injury, chronic pains, right? So we're dealing with all of this on our own, right? And so some people will go, well, marital strife is killing our veterans. Financial struggles are killing our veterans. Isolation is killing our veterans. No, that's not true. What's killing our veterans is the inability to be resilient. Think about it, right? Like, it's like, okay, man, I've got somebody very special that I love is going through, a divorce. I woke up. He came home one day, all this stuff was gone, and he thought everything was fine, right? He wasn't the best husband, right? But she's gone. No talk, no nothing. And it's crazy because he's never thought about suicide, right? So he's thinking about it. He's thinking, why hasn't he taken his life? Because he's resilient. Okay. I mean, we all go through, 50%, of Americans get a divorce or something like that, right? Do half of them kill themselves? No, they don't. So it's really like, I just think it's really our inability, cognitively, spiritually, psychologically, physically, socially. You talked about, so what this falls into, social fitness. I know all about isolation. My new jam is jiu-jitsu. I started this year making a commitment for the next 10 years. This is my new, I always make a commitment every year and every decade. Every year, every decade. I love January 1 because it's a great time to start. I can start something new anytime. But
Sure.
most of Americans want to start something January 1. I love it. I
Yeah.
stick with it. But I also have a decade, agreement with myself. Something that I think is challenging, something that keeps me on my toes. Jiu-jitsu, black belt, right? A black belt is really just a white belt that never quits. I like that. And so my social reintegration, I start off with adaptive golf. That's great. It's kind of expensive. For veterans, we're able to do it some places for free, but jiu-jitsu, man, there's something really good about jiu-jitsu. All my anger and frustration, just get it out there. And my new tribe are people in jiu-jitsu. Social integration is very, very important. You stay isolated and think about, that's what they do with prisoners. You go crazy.
Yeah. Well, there's that. And then I want to ask you about an aspect of pain that I've experienced personally, both physically and on an emotional level. I almost slipped into this thing where I don't know how to say this, doctor, in clinical terms, but I almost got comfortable being in pain. Like pain was familiar to me, discomfort was familiar to me, and I knew what those entities were. I could quantify them almost, and trying to move away from that and actually feel good, feel complete, feel a sense of self-worth and just physically okay was really scary to me for some reason. And looking at your program and how it's designed, you almost have a support system around you to help you move through that so you don't stay there any longer than you have to.
Yeah, that's the whole plan of attack.
Yeah.
And honestly, so last time I've woken up in the hospital 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Okay, 3 times. And the last time I was inpatient right here at Haley's Hospital, Tampa, Florida. #1 poly trauma center in America. All right. I'll take it on to the world. Okay. 9 months outpatient. And one of the things that I thought I really adopted a lot of the core values and principles and methodologies. The VA didn't have the faith piece. The VA didn't have integrated medicine. The VA didn't have a really strong exercise program. You want a mentally healthy, strong person, you need physical exercise, hands down, right? I don't know of one person. There might be some, but their exertion of energy is very important for us, especially negative energy. We got to be able to have an outlet. But with that being said, when you talk about chronic pain, I'm very familiar with the chronic pain to understand the symptoms so that you can address them, and you could also start healing. So yeah, I mean, chronic pain is definitely problematic if you don't do anything about it. But look, I'm going to tell you, I got a lot of pain in my body, so I'm doing a lot of stretching. I'm doing a lot of rolling. I'm doing integrated medicine. I've got an ice pod. Highly recommend ice pod. You know,
What?
I get in it every day. Every day I'm in the ice pod, man. And you know, certain degrees are good for overall. For post workout, some of it is good for anti-inflammatory agents. I'm on the ice pod like every day, man. I am getting older. I mean, I got lots of jumps. I got some dives. I got
It's not
plenty
the
of
years,
deployments.
sir. It's not the
What?
years. It's the miles. It's the miles.
You know what, bro? You're right. It's the miles. I got lots of miles. I look pretty good on the outside.
I was gonna say you look
Yeah,
pretty
I
good.
do. I mean, I feel like
I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, I mean, I got a team that keeps me young. I've been blessed. I was sponsored by Oil of Olay for 10 years. No, I'm just kidding. I say that joke all the time, and I laugh every single
But I
time.
was taking it seriously because I'm like, you know what? There's no real wrinkles on your face. I mean, I don't know if it's Air Force time that did it to you or
Yeah,
what, but
it was Air Force. You know, they pampered me and stuff. They made sure I had like a full, facials done
flaming.
on a daily basis. You know
Oh,
that we
that's
don't
what
get
it
that
is.
as devil dogs.
No, no.
But
But
yeah, go
so
ahead.
you're saying that all these self-care things that you provide in your program, I think what I'm liking here and what I saw is all these self-care things that you have in your program, you're actually walking your own talk because you're having to do it as well. And the reason I want to bring that up, doctor, is a lot of times, some org executive who's never gone through what you've gone through will try to talk about what they do. And it's like, well, you don't know what that person's really feeling. So how are you structuring this? You're living it like right now. And then you're having to tune your program, I would have to think, to make it better or to serve people more.
Yeah, everything that we provide, every treatment, every modality, I've gone through myself. Just about everyone, even having the service dog. I got my puppy right over here. I
Yeah.
grabbed the camera if I could, but you have to figure out how you're going to thrive in the world. It's kind of like somebody, and I want to say for the audience out there, okay, I'm not comparing myself, in the same situation because I'm super lucky. I still have all my extremities. I was just talking to a friend, and I have no idea of all the convoys how ours was never hit. I really don't. I got goosebumps. Yeah, we got several of our SOF guys. They never made it. They got blown up in IED and never came home. Some of them got blown up and now they're all messed up. Some of them hit, quads. It's crazy. You gotta, it's like, but getting a wheelchair helps you move around, right? You want to figure out how to get back on the horse, right?
Right.
I don't know. For me, I had so many mild TBIs. Like I think it was 2017. That was scary. And I woke up in the hospital in a dark room, and I was in a dark room for several months. And I was really scared. I couldn't even talk. I was stuttering. I mean, the TBI was bad. Like I couldn't even get words out. It's weird what happens to the brain. And I was down, man. I was in another dark place. And back in 19, another dark place. It's just, now that I'm out, I look at everything and go, all right, what do I need to do in order to be a full productive member of society? Same thing that I tell my guys and gals. I go, you have to decide, do you want to live? Now, I'm going to tell you right now. So think on this one. Our mission statement is empowering warriors to find purpose and to be resilient, right? Your purpose is your meaning on earth. The two most important days of your life is the day that you're born and the day that you find out why. The second one is being resilient. You have to figure out how to be resilient. There's a war out there, and there's a physical war, there's a spiritual war, there's a mental war. How are you going to win? And so, I like to have all my treatments, all my modalities are like, defenses and weapons. Like that's what it is. And I really wanted to do something with my life This nonprofit has given me, air like in my lungs, and
Nice.
it's allowed me to help out thousands upon thousands of veterans. And we're really excited about the impact. So just excited just to continue to serve my nation. I don't need the uniform. I don't need to, jump out of a perfectly good airplane. I don't have to carry a rucksack up in the mountains of Afghanistan to feel like I'm still serving. I'm serving today through SOF missions, and I'm excited to continue to fight the war against suicide, which is the enemy, and all the other stuff that comes along with it.
As time flies and you're having fun, and I'm certainly enjoying talking with you and love to have you back on to talk more. But one thing I want to know, and I ask a lot of people, is what's it like when you see a fellow veteran, a fellow service member come through your program and get that second chance, a second lease? And to your point, sir, they start living life. What's that do to you, despite all the challenges you faced and what they're going through?
That's what it's just another day that saves me. And what I mean by that is, I think I don't know if you still struggle, but I do. And I'm constantly being reminded of my purpose, and I'm constantly being resilient. And when I see another veteran start thriving, and I go, and many of them are at their wits' end. Many of them had that gun on their lap, loaded. Many of them. I can't tell you how many of the guys would call me. I don't do this anymore, but my friends, I'll get a phone call from 15, 20 years ago. In fact, I just got one that I served with a dude 20 years ago. And I kept my number. 910 is a 910 number, Marine Corps, right? He's like, "Is this Damon?" "Yes." "Hey, this is so-and-so. What's up, bro?" He goes, "I need help." And he says, "I've been watching you and I'm ready." He goes, I'm going to kill myself. I'm there. I'm like, "All right, dude, like put the gun away. I'll get you." No joke. Just one story. There was a dude, Silver Star recipient, up north. Not going to talk about it. And I was like, "Hey, man." And he's like, "I just have no reason to live." I'm like, I'll tell you what. I'll support your move if you come to the clinic and afterwards you feel the same way. And he's like, "All right, man." Next day, I had a plane ticket. The day after that, he flew in. Now that he was lucky because there was a slot open and it was available. And I move fast, but it's once every month normally. But it just happened to be. That's why God had a plan, and I was able to help. And after that week, he's like, "Dude, you saved my life." I go, "I didn't save your life. God has a plan. All these incredible healthcare practitioners. I'm just part of the process. I'm the captain of the ship, but let me tell you something. It's the sailors that sail and the boat." And so just excited about it, and just blessed to be a part of the solution and just to keep on winning.
When you say keep on winning, what does that mean? Do you have just a mission focus to be steady state for the near future? Do you have any new initiatives in 2025?
Yeah.
Or is it refining your current, offerings and processes to be even better?
Yeah. So expansion,
Yeah.
20 million veterans in America, 1.5 in Florida. Predominantly, those are the ones we serve. Florida's a very friendly state. Governor DeSantis has made it very accessible and just easy. It's a great place to thrive if you're a veteran. We're the second largest populated state, veterans in America, if not the top soon, if not already. And but we're in all 50 states, and at the end of the day, it's expanding. It's raising more funds, serving more veterans, and just being able to reach them. That's it. So growth is very important. Don't like to be stagnant. We have a very, very amazing program. I'm not really. I mean, if we tweak anything, it's so small, minuscule. I mean, we've definitely got the goods, man, and we've got a lot of incredible feedback. We do Be Resilient training, which is the education. Be Resilient retreats, self-explanatory, and then Be Resilient clinics, which are medical clinics, are primary deliverable. So we have something for everybody, and it's just a matter of what you need, because not everybody needs 5 days of intensive, clinical care with a year following. Some people just need a coach, or a psychologist, or insomnia care or something like that. And so we're able to do that.
I wonder, and I'm not poking the bear here, but I do wonder, we have, and I understand the VA system in Florida is pretty robust. It's supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, it
But
is. It is.
I do wonder though, why. I'm not saying the VA falls short. I'm not going to say that, but I'm wondering, why you're needed, right? You're feeling a need, but why isn't the VA already set to fill that need?
All right. So, I think it's easy to bash the VA.
I'm not,
I
no, I'm
think
not,
no, no, no,
because
no. I'm not. I know you're not. I
okay.
just, the people like to do it, and I go,
Yeah.
the VA is not built to provide all these services, and then you have bureaucracy. It's like you see all this money that was dedicated, during the Biden administration, during the Trump administration. Like, well, why is it that we still have all these problems? Well, I'll tell you that at the end of the day, also, in fact, I'll answer that, but not every VA hospital is good. Haley's Hospital that I go to right now, for my primary care, for my all my concussions and TBIs, they're the best, and most of them are. I think some states, I just know that our veterans need the best care possible, and I think that since that nonprofits standing up, trying to help out as much as we can, is part of the solution. And for whatever reason, some VA hospitals just are terrible, and some of them are good. But at the end of the day, we're expecting the VA to do something that they're just not made to do. And I think that if we work as a collective, the way that we do here, right, then we're able to accomplish a lot. And so that's what SOF Mission is doing. We're not trying to replace the VA. We never can. We have excellent relationships. I mean, we need MRIs. We need specialists and stuff like that we don't have. That's not germane to the organization. But we could do full assessment. We could solve problems at Mach 1. And if we need to go ahead and dig deeper, we have the contacts because we've got solid relationships with these, the healthcare practitioners, the hospitals. We know where the resources are. And you know what? We're altruistic in nature. We want to help. And we believe that we're all called to do this. We have a lot of people on my staff, and they don't look at it as a job. This is an opportunity to serve our fellow brothers and sisters, our patriots of America. And we get to get paid to do it. Oh yeah, it's awesome. I just like to do a shout out
Sure.
to all my all my workers. They've been working around the clock. Chameleon, Megan, our case managers, Miss Miriam, who is our clinic manager, and our head physician, Dr. Piazza, and it's just they've just been doing such great work. And Jack Ratliff, our nurse practitioner, and Dr. Ramos, our head psychologist. I mean, they got just a slew of people working underneath them. They've been they work so hard, and I just want to let them know that I love them, grateful for them, and I just thank God every single day that they're part of our team. So it's always been exciting, and so yeah, just wanted to go ahead and do a shout out. So thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
No, it's no problem at all. And I think I actually like that you did that because, we all fight as a team, and you're not doing this by yourself. And they might not demand it from you to be shout out. They might not even want it, but I can tell you, it just goes to show what kind of org you have and how this mission is accomplished. How could people watching this, or if they come across your website, I have the link in the chat. I'll have the link on the Facebook later. But how can people help you out and with your needs? All nonprofits need money or bodies or something. What are the needs?
Yeah, so every clinic is full, and what we need is more funding. That's what we need. I'm just being very transparent. You want to help me? Right now, we're running Operation Red Belt. Go to operationredbelt.org or just come to sofmissions.org. Get yourself a belt, be a monthly donor. $22 a month, and then you get a really awesome belt. It's good for shooting. It's good for doing humanitarian work. It's good for, a suit. You're going to look sharp like James Bond or like, a Navy SEAL. All right. Like the red belt's sexy. Okay. It's just a phenomenal product. And it also represents and it reflects, remembering everyone deployed, and also
Look
the
at
shedding
you
of
in this
blood.
picture. Look at you. I'm going to put the link in the chat. I wish I could put the picture in the chat, sir. I mean, you could go into modeling. I'm just saying.
Well, you're getting me mixed up with the Navy SEAL, buddy. So no, I'm just I'm making
No,
some jokes here.
you're
They
standing
always
by
have
like a.
incredible hair. It's like maybe it was like a requirement, to have,
Well, I mean, sir. I mean, look at this, sir. I mean, this is. Yeah, there's a reason I'm like giving you the props.
Yeah, yeah.
You stand by the night. Is that? Wait a minute. Hang on. Let me see if I can my World War II aircraft ID. That is a P. It's not a Corsair. That's a. Is that a Thunderbolt? Not a
Uh,
Thunderbolt.
yeah, I have lots of thunderbolts, man. That's just the way I am, you know. No, no, it is. It's just like, it's interesting because it's very synonymous with who I am. As a special operator, I was a STO, a combat controller
Yeah.
officer, and we call in air power. So it's like lightning from the sky, man. It's like that bolt of lightning that comes down, and yeah, it's exciting, and it's also my brand. I'm pretty fiery. I'm like a pistol, and so the lightning bolt is a part of the Friedman force.
Man, why didn't we get officers like you when I was in?
Well, I don't know. Like, not everybody loved me. I mean, a lot of them loved me, but some guys didn't like me. I brought my Marine Corps mentality over to the, special
How,
operations and Air Force, and it's just a
how
little
did
bit
that
different.
work?
Well, it's kind of like this. It's like the Rangers going in, versus the Green Berets. Like, Rangers are very regimented, you know. Advanced light infantry, like, they're awesome. I loved working with Rangers, man. They destroyed everything. Green Berets were just a little bit different, more relaxed, chill, and the ones that get the Delta are, they're just a unique breed.
Yeah.
I was more of a Ranger. So, yeah. So most of my people love me, but some, not so much. But, I'm just hoping that they respected me. That's the most, and that I did what was best for the institution.
So I got the operationredbelt.org and see Dr. Friedman modeling it. And I got to tell you, it's fire, sir, because you
Yeah.
got like the textured belt itself with the black stripe running through it and the black buckle. It's dang.
It's cool,
I'm
man.
just, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if
You got to get one. Hey, listen, get one. Join the fight. 22
well,
bucks a month, man. You get your red belt. I mean, those belts are worth tons of cash, man. It's like, it's
sure,
legit. A lot of my operators are wearing them right now in Afghanistan. It's awesome.
for sure, 100%. So Operation Red Belt's there, write checks, that's fair. And get in part, oh my God, get in touch with the mission, excuse me. Um, I think one of the things that really attracted me to being able to talk with you is I'm like, here's someone again who's walking their talk. You're walking your talk. You're not just sitting there trying to sell books, sell merch, sell t-shirts. You're walking your talk with that person coming through your program.
Yeah.
And I think we need more of that. Last question, and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
Right at 4. I get asked all the time, aren't there just too many veteran nonprofits out there? When are we going to start seeing the 22 number go down? There's thousands of veterans nonprofits, and it just seems like there's been no progress made. And I'm like, well, I think there is progress. I think there is awareness, but, I think we can't ever not be vigilant. So I'm just curious if you have an opinion about that, sir.
I don't think that the suicide epidemic is going to go down, no matter how much money we throw at it. No matter how many VA centers, no matter how many VA hospitals, it's not going to be enough. I wrote an article saying just recently, says that talk therapy is killing our veterans. If you find a veteran and they've been going to the VA or whoever counseling, and it's 10 years later and they're worse off, you have to ask yourself why. I think anybody can go nuts, really seeking help and not feeling better. Okay, especially after a decade. Progress is very, very important. And I'm here to tell you. So we have all these warriors right now. The signature injury of the war is not PTSD. It's mild traumatic brain injury. Read the articles. If you're in a gunfight, machine gunning, even in training, you got the Mongoose, man. You got the 50 cal. You got the 240 Bravo, 7.62 round. You got mortars. You got artillery, 105 howitzers, 155. You name it. I mean, you're around that stuff and you're not protecting your ears and the vibration going through your body. Man, the inflammation that's happening to your brain cognitively, like some of us, like we get straight stupid. We do, like we get like our brains are going mush. And we're trying, and people are trying to figure out like what's going on. If you kind of do the scanning, you could see the before and after, how inflamed our brains are. And then on top of all that, so you're doing talk therapy, whatever it is, and that's not solving the problem for all the vibration that's happening, which is mild traumatic brain injury, synonymous with concussion, right? How you fixing that? And then you have got the moral injury. Well, we talked a little bit earlier about faith. So you're having these veterans deal with existentialistic crisis, right?
Right.
And they're having these deep, profound questions about God. But talk therapy is not solving it. I remember when I saw my psychologist, like, man, they did everything great, but we don't talk about God here. Well, here's the reality. Humans are made of mind, body, and soul. And there are no atheists in foxholes. I'm here to tell you that. And my pitch is not about religion. It's not. Even as a Jesus follower, I don't think Jesus was a fan of religion. Okay, I think he was a fan of relationships. And I think that everybody needs to come to a point where they can recognize that the spiritual component is a part of the healing process. So it's holistic healing. And also, I think it was you that talked about isolation, right? So it's like, so you've got psychological fitness, you have physical fitness, cognitive fitness, spiritual fitness, and social fitness. You need to be fit. And just think about it. Before all this stuff ever happened, before you ever joined the military, think about it. You felt awesome. You're like, man, I could take on the world, man. I'm going to be a soldier. I'm going to be an airman. I'm going to be a Navy SEAL, right? I'm going to be an airborne ranger. I'm going to be a Green Beret, right? I'm going to be a combat controller, right? And
I want to be a recon ranger.
That's what I'm saying.
I want to cut off all of my hair. Right,
That's right, man. I got to sing that all day long. I was at Second Force Recon, and then I went to Ranger School. I was a recon ranger, real airborne rangers are from the 75th. I'm not going to get into it. But bottom line is that we're not going to put a dent in the suicide epidemic until we understand the importance of holistic care. Too many physicians are operating in silos. That means that they're not collaborating. And if you find that you have a patient who's been there for a decade, or I would say a couple years, maybe you're not looking at everything. Humans are like houses. You got to go in, you breach through the front door, like, we're in. Let's look at let's secure the first room to the left, psych room, second room, cognitive room, third room, spiritual room, fourth room, physical room, fifth room, social room. All right, we know where all the bad guys are, and now we can address these things. And once we empower the veteran, hey, these are the problems that you're having. Man, there's a lot of, I guess this is what happens when we're talking with our hands. We get a lot of explosions here. Did you see that?
I love that. Freaking, that was awesome.
Yeah. And so once we figure out where all the bad guys are, then we're able to empower that veteran with the education, and then the treatments. And then at the end of the day, it's on them. We're like, hey, man, this is it. These are where the bad guys are. This is how you take care of them. And that's vet talk, baby. It really is. And we're solving problems all the time.
For sure. Well, look, on Veterans Day, I am joined by Dr. Damon Friedman. I'm going to say U.S. Marine Corps and Air Force veteran. I got to say it, sir. And
all good.
I want to thank you for coming on and sharing so openly and candidly about your organization, about your approach to healing on the aggregate. I think it's very important. And I hear a real action component that the person must take to heal themselves. So I appreciate you being so upfront about that. You have an open invitation to come back on my show. I know you're Oscar, Mike. I know you got a lot going on Veterans Day. I want to thank you for coming on and talking with me. I really appreciate it. Hey,
man, you know what? I really appreciate being invited. Greatly appreciate you creating awareness of what's going on and really just sharing what solutions are. For all the viewers out there, listeners, go to sofmissions.org. If you're a warrior that needs help, go to sofmissions.org and let us help you. At the end of the day, you're not alone. Don't isolate yourself. Come. We're part of your tribe. Very, very important. For all of you out there that want to support our organization, go to sofmissions.org. We got Operation Red Belt there. I know he had it up there. Get yourself a red belt. Operation, redbelt.org, or get it at sofmissions.org. Both places you can get it. But get yourself a red belt and support us. 100% of all the money that we raise goes straight into the veteran. It really is true. Just check out our books. It's been great to have people that support us, and we're growing. We're excited. We've raised about $10 million already, all of it going into the veteran. And I really appreciate you having me on your show. And God willing, you'll be able to really make an incredible impact through this podcast. So I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you very much, sir. Semper Fi. You're welcome back on, and you have a very good day. And God bless America.
Yeah. God